Welcome to the Grange Podcast, where we strive to rekindle the spirit of community and belonging. Our mission is simple, yet profound: to foster transparent communication and share valuable information that brings us closer together. Join us as we explore stories, insights, and conversations with the intent of building a stronger, more connected community, one episode at a time. Today, my guest is Spencer Gilmore. Spencer is a husband, father, mechanic, and third-generation farmer on Kelly Hill. Spencer was my first guest on the Grange 1 year ago, and it was great to have him back on. During our conversation, we talked about 2025 and all that it had in store for us. I want to take a quick minute and thank all the listeners and guests of this podcast over the last year. What started as an idea 3 years ago is now a proof of concept that I look forward to growing. To everyone who has reached out to me personally and given words of support and encouragement, thank you. It means the world to me and keeps me motivated to continue down this road. If you find value in our conversation, please help spread the word by sharing this podcast with a friend. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button to be notified when a new episode is released. Anyone interested in coming on the podcast can reach out to thegrangepodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in. Now, here's my conversation with Spencer Gilmore. And we're live.
Okay, let's do it live.
Yeah, let's do it live. That Bill O'Reilly skit.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites. So, back at the Grange Podcast, here with Spencer Gilmore. Stoked to have Spencer back on because, as my loyal listeners know, Spencer was the first one to ever record an episode. We were just talking about it. We're pretty sure that December 9th was when the first one dropped, and today's the 10th. So, I couldn't think of a better guest to be on the show today, and just doing a kind of a yearly roundup bullshit session. So, Spencer, welcome back to the Grange.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. How's your year been?
It's been busy.
Yeah.
Way busy. But it's been good. A lot of new stuff, taking care of old stuff, kids, sports. All the stuff.
Yeah. Pull that a little bit closer.
How's that?
More. Yes.
There we go.
That's it. Cool. So yeah, man, it's wild for me thinking about it this morning that, I'd been thinking about this for a long time, doing the podcast, and then finally did it. And now it's been a year.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. And I think some of the people that are friends with Spencer and I know this, but there's probably quite a few listeners that don't, that, Spencer and I meet up here in this gym. We're in a gym right now in a back room that we built the studio in. The front of the shop has a little gym that we built, and my crew, Columbia Navigation, meets at 6 a.m. and then Spencer, and throughout the year, a handful of different guys come in. But Spencer has been the one consistent dude that has come in 80% of the time for the last year. We just hit a year mark of meeting together at 0600 and working out. So Spencer and I see each other every morning at the gym. I'm going to say that we've been on a health journey together for the last year of really trying to fine tune our health and wellness, from diet to exercise to even, just mental health. And so I do want to touch on that a little bit because I think there's a lot of value out there. I'm seeing, I don't know if awakening is the right word, but I'm seeing, and I'm just talking in our little community, I'm seeing some people that are starting to take their health serious. And it seems it's starting to trend that way. And I don't know if that is through maybe some of these long form conversations. I know that that's what started it for me, was listening to other people on podcasts and learning lots of different information. I mean, ultimately, it comes down to a gut check, right? Deep down if you're pushing yourself and living your best, healthiest life, and if you want to do something about it or not. And if you don't, to each their own. Not here to shame or put anyone down, but if you do, the time is now, right? It's that quote I told you about the other day, like the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is now.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's true with our health, because we're both in our mid 30s. We have families. Like, I wish I would have taken this more serious in my early 20s? 100%. But here we are, you know, and so the time is now. But you have quite a story, man, as far as just the health journey thing. And if you're comfortable, I would love for you to share that story, because I think people will find value in it.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's interesting. My childhood through my 20s was a wild time. Lots of drinking, kind of did whatever a 20-year-old kid did, you know, whatever I wanted to. Went to college and, you know, didn't look at the things I ate, the things I drank, what I did. And I lived an active lifestyle, but I also counteracted that with bad things for me. And it would have been probably 2010. I went for a DOT physical for my job. I was working for John Deere at the time. And the guy doing the physical, they do a piss test, and he's like, "You have really high sugars in your urine." I go, 20, was I 20 at the time, maybe? I said, "Well, I did just drink a Mountain Dew, you know, for breakfast," right? Coming off of a hangover, probably. And he's like, "Well, it's higher than that. Like, you should go get checked for diabetes." And I don't have a huge history of diabetes in my family. And I said, "Okay, I should probably do that." And I go in, and they're like, "Dude, you're diabetic."
Wow.
So, like, in third world countries, that's a life ender, like Africa and stuff. To me, it was like, okay, well, you know, this is modern medicine. Throw me some pills. Let's get on my day. So I went through the pharmacy side of it for 10 years. I hated it. Made me feel just yucky. I didn't watch what I ate still. I had that same thought a lot of people did. If I'm on the medication, what do I need to worry about the rest of it for? Like, this is going to save me. And I see people do it now, and I try not to give unsolicited advice when people don't want it. But it was just a bad way to be. In probably, I think I turned like 33. I was at the doctor's office, and shout out to the Dr. Lucas there at Mount Carmel. He's a rock star dude. And he just sat me down one day, and he's like, "You're not going to see your kids grow up if you don't figure this out. High blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, all of it." He basically laid it on the line. So I think it was summertime. I was out playing with the kids. We were jumping on the trampoline, and I was just winded, just gassed out. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. And so the next day, you know, we have access to everything on our phones. So I fired it up and started doing research and listening to guys. And my boss, Jason, shout out to him too. He, you know, started doing a very similar regimen of getting his health back in order as well. And so I like listening to Joe Rogan, and he had this guy, Sean Baker, on his podcast. And he talked really heavily about the carnivore diet. Well, we raise cows. Like, I have easy access to really good proteins. And so I did 8 months of the carnivore and dropped my numbers down to below diabetic standards. My cholesterol went down to like even keel numbers, well below what the average is. I'd lost, I'm trying to think, I think I got down to 222 was like the lowest that I ever made it to.
From where?
From 287 was the last. Prior to that was the last time I'd weighed myself at the doctor's office. I have a picture, and you've seen it, of me when I graduated.
There might have been 3 bills in that picture.
They're easy 3 bills. And I never weighed myself. Like, you've seen it. When I show it to people, they're just like, no. And most of the people that listen to our podcast, like, went to school with me. They knew I was a heavy kid.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't.
You were big in school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just big frame, big kid.
Yeah. You know, I'm 6'3". I haven't been under 200 since probably the 5th grade.
Yeah.
Easy. But so I did the carnivore for 8 months straight and did all that. And I felt great.
So you're a 50 or 60 pound drop.
Oh yeah.
But all in that 8 months?
Not all of it. It was probably a year I got down to that 222.
Okay.
And I'd lost a lot of like my pant sizes and stuff like that. Then that was when I can't remember where I'd ran onto you and we were talking about it. I think it was at the coffee shop.
Yeah.
Just after that is when you offered that if I wanted to, I could come in and work out with you and Dave and Steve. So, like I've never really done it before. We lifted weights in school, but never the cardio. And when I explain what we do, a lot of people call it CrossFit, which is pretty accurate. Started doing that and I started gaining weight back and I'm like, what in the hell? This is counterintuitive for what I wanted it to be. Because by their BMI standards, I should be 180. But I realized we started, really working on body weights and with the kettlebells and all that stuff. So muscle was growing back. And then they monitored me on my medical side for quite a while. Still do, I still go in for checkups. Yeah. And I got off all the medications. My blood pressure went down to what normal people are supposed to be at according to their system. A1C average went down to where a non-diabetic is. My cholesterol, all of it, like even keeled with the exercise and just exercise and food. And so I cut out like the fast food, the deep fried food, the breads, the pastas, the potatoes. Ate them pretty sparingly now. I try to really stick to a whole foods diet, like as little processed as I can. Some days you can't get by. Tara got me with a peanut butter cookie Monday, but it's, things like that. But a lot of people have been calling it my midlife crisis of pulling my head out of my ass, I think.
Yeah. So just to recap some of that, you're a big kid when you graduate high school, mm-hmm. and then you go to a trade school for a 2-year program, yep. Right? And I think it's safe to say people that work in trade work, and I'm sure it's somewhat fair across the board, but definitely in trade work, like there is, if we're talking about diet, we're talking about convenience stores mm-hmm. and gas stations, 100%. Right? Like you're putting in those 10 to 12 hour days. And so unless you're a very disciplined individual, most people, and we've all been there, myself included, are grab and go eaters. And I did that all through my 20s. I mean, I remember seeing Sherry Holland at the Chevron every single morning at 5:30 a.m., grab me a couple chicken strips, those little, dude, we used to get them in school. It was a sausage wrapped in a pancake.
Yeah.
Pancake pup.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that was crack for me.
Oh yeah.
And then, grab a drink loaded in sugar, even if it's Gatorade, right? Mm-hmm. Like just grab a drink, sometimes a hot cocoa, like a bag. I would do those honey roasted peanuts. Like when I look at what my diet was for 10 years,
for sure.
And so similar for you, right? Like you're a grab and go guy, Mountain Dew, energy drink, whatever's in a package or in the hot case.
Oh, yeah.
Like that was in my gut for 10 years, mm-hmm. almost every day.
When I worked for New Holland Agriculture as a field technician, I kept 6 monsters in a DC plug-in cooler in my service truck. And I had like cans of Campbell's chunky soup, behind the seat, which I don't know if you ever looked at the nutrition facts on those, but don't.
Yeah.
And chips, and I'm a chip guy.
Yeah.
Like, I'll destroy a bag of chips. And to the point where if we stop for fuel, like if Sid and I are on a trip, I purposely do not go into the gas station because I'm going to gravitate towards a munch food.
Yeah.
And like, it's almost an ingrained habit anymore.
Yeah.
But
Well, and it's funny, I'm going to sidetrack real quick, but just those little systems of I had to build the habit of not going into the gas station anymore. And I even put a bigger fuel tank on my pickup. And it wasn't just to dodge the gas station, but like I fuel up once a week now, you know, where it was like 2 or 3 times a week. And it was just a habit to walk in that thing and then cruise every aisle. Like, you know what I mean?
You're not hungry. You're not thirsty.
And a lot of times it'd just be like, oh, I'm going to get a pack of gum, but then I'd come out with more than a pack of gum. And so now I buy my gum on Amazon, right? Have it at my house, grab what I need to go. But it was just rewiring my brain and those, you know, I'd made that same move every day for so many years. But then what you're saying is that's the lifestyle you're living, the guys you're working with, going to school with, same thing. Hats off to energy drink companies for marketing and branding. They do so good. It's one thing, you know, I try not to be overly critical because I was a kid too, but the one critical thing and that just genuinely worries me with our younger generation is I see all of them with an energy drink in their hand, and my kids included, and it's, you got to pick your battles, right? But you got to pay the piper at some point, you know, and you can get away with it for a long time. Yeah. But to your point, I mean, at 20, diabetes is on your radar, like that word for the first time. And then it's about 13 years later until you take it really serious. And a lot of that's fatherhood, probably. It's growing up and your brain's developing, but then you see that you're putting food on the table for more than just yourself. And then probably for me, it's also like leading by example. Like, I'm going to tell my kids not to do this, but I'm going to do that, right? Like, so that's I guess where I just wanted to like track that though is there's a couple interesting things that stick out to me. One, it's easy to do and we've all done it, you know, as far as just getting in that fast-paced lifestyle and living out of a convenience store. But when you were in your 20s and you saw the doctor, the first route was not diet and exercise, it was medication. And I think that's part of this awakening that I'm feeling too. And some of this I think is a byproduct of COVID. But I think we're starting to think for ourselves again, you know, getting back to how to think, you know, and not just forced what to think. And, you know, the medication thing, I think we always believed that doctors had our best interest at hand. It's like, those dudes just went to school for 10 years. They know way more than I do about health. And it was so funny how we could put the blinders onto common sense. You know, like, I mean, we come from hunter-gatherers, used to do 10,000 steps. Our ancestors would a day, you know, they would eat vegetables. They would eat, you know, single ingredient foods essentially. And then we get far away from that. It shocks our body system. We have these health repercussions because of it. And then to combat that, instead of doubling down on the diet and exercise, we double down on medication. And I don't want to get down the rabbit hole, but there's profit in medication too. And medication has a place 100%. And so does big pharma. Like, obviously, I'm not trying to put the tinfoil hat on and just start kicking that right in the nuts. But first, let's talk about the low-hanging fruit, on a lot of things, especially a guy and gal in their 20s. That's, you know, your body is still so young and fruitful at that age. Like, I really feel, and I want to push that message of like low-hanging fruit first, you know, and I think that's why your story, and hopefully my story too, man, that was me in 2019. I went to a naturopath because the doctor thing just didn't, you know, I'm taking advice from what, in my opinion, were very unhealthy looking doctors. Telling me about what I should do to get healthy. And I'm going, So I went and saw a naturopath, did blood work, and she was like, yeah, you're pre-diabetic. And I'm like, and it runs in my family. And I'm going, oh man, like, what am I doing here? And still it took me 2 or 3 years after that then to take it serious. But yeah, it's interesting. I just wanted to touch like that for a lot of us and for anyone listening, like there's other options too. And they may be more difficult, you know, but it's, in my experience, anything worthwhile is on the other side of hard. And then once, I think the cool thing, man, where I'm so stoked to be sitting with you here today is like, we did it for a year. So there's a proof of concept. And our journeys started 3 to 5 years ago with just that awareness of where we were at from a physical health standpoint. And so changing the diets, being aware of it, doing these kind of things. But I feel like we picked a lot of low hanging fruit last year.
And it's when I was in my 20s, diet and exercise wasn't really brought up. And it was mentioned by people that I was around. Have you ever tried exercise? Well, dude, I have high blood pressure. Would running have? It would raise my heart rate.
Yeah.
In my small pea brain, I don't understand. Didn't at the time how the body worked, and it's like you're not. I don't understand the process, but now that I get it, when you exercise and you work your blood vessels that are a muscle and they expand and contract with heavy heart rate, it makes all that blood easier to flow, which then lowers blood pressure.
Yeah.
Like, it was never broke down to me that way.
And I think that's such a good point of you don't know what you don't know. And that's where I try to be like, I am not critical of people that look unhealthy or not doing, that like that just are unhealthy because, dude, I was that guy for so long and it seemed so intimidating because now it seems so simple, and that's just life, right? Anything that you don't know on day one seems so intimidating. But it's walking up that hill. And then on day 365, you've learned a lot of information and you start, to figure that out. But it's a great point where I think it's an entry to a barrier to entry of not knowing how everything works from a health standpoint. Like I thought Gatorade was the healthiest thing I could be drinking until I understood how sugar spikes your insulin levels, and then the downhill effect of having spiked insulin levels every 2 to 4 hours throughout the day, So I think that there is that huge barrier to entry with information. However, we live in such a great time right now where the information is very easily accessible. And then once you gather and understand that information, I think it allows someone it's not as intimidating, like if we're going to use a hiking metaphor, it's probably really intimidating to hike up Sherman Pass if you don't have hiking boots. And you don't have a puffy jacket if it rains or gets cold, and you don't have water or whatever. But then once you say, okay, well, I can go to an REI and get the right gear to go on an overnight hiking trip. Well, then all you got to do is just do right, left, one step at a time. And I think that is, that's worth saying and spreading that message of like, get educated, if you're serious about it, like understand health at a very basic level. You and I are in no position to be giving a whole bunch of health advice because we don't know hardly anything. But get a little educated, and then that allows, I think, those steps to be taken. You know, would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's the intimidation factor is real. When the first day I stepped in here, I was like, "What am I doing? I don't, I know Josh. I didn't know your guys at the time, and it's like I didn't know what to expect. I didn't really work out. I showed up in slip-on shoes, and like, I guess we'll try it out." And Steve worked us for quite a few months, and now it's like I enjoy it so much that on days that I do miss, it's like, okay, I got to do something at home tonight or something like that because I feel like I'm letting myself down at this point. And I think it was like I wrote this on my cold plunge a couple months ago that we all have motivation to do it, to do whatever it is. We all have motivation in our lives to, whether it be get healthy, get our finances in order, get our life in check, take care of our kids. We have all that motivation. The discipline is what we have to find. And so, motivation is nothing without discipline. And I think it's a David Goggins quote, but I could be incorrect with that. And I've really kind of held on to that really heavy just because I have all these motivations in my life, whether it's my health, whether it's my kids, whether it's my wife, my family, my job, my career, but I have to have discipline to make it all happen.
Yeah. A couple points that come up to me on that is I agree with you 100%. And I think even another piece of that pie is the tribe that you're around. Like I was intimidated with this idea of doing morning workouts in a gym, like, because I knew if I built it, I'd have to do it. And when we're using the word gym, we're in a shop that we laid a wrestling mat down on. We have a pull-up bar and some kettlebells. Like that's our, just so the people that can't see outside this window, like that's our gym. And we're doing yoga 2 days a week. We're doing some cardio and primarily body weight exercises and throwing some kettlebells in.
And running.
Yeah, the cardio.
Yeah. I'm a 260-pound short-legged runner.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, for sure.
Never thought I'd ever say that.
But I was super intimidated, man, like, because to get started. But I think I had this belief system because I did show myself discipline of, I started in my living room and I just had my bare minimum that I've told you guys about. And on day one, I just started doing 20 push-ups, 20 crunches, and 20 body weight squats. And I don't know how long I did that, but let's call it a year, pretty consistently, like 3 to 5 days a week, and mostly 5 days a week. And that's how I started. And what I'd learned was rewiring my brain, was just getting in that habit. Wake up, do the bare minimum, then go to work, And so I was able to do that. But like, I knew bringing Steve in, he'd been a hotshot firefighter, wildland firefighter, had his physical attributes were on a different level than even mine. And so I was a little bit intimidated, saying, okay, I got a guy that actually knows how to work out and has done that his whole life is now going to come in. But the other side of that intimidation was accountability. And I'm like, but I want to be held accountable, and I want people that are in better shape than me to be around, and to be able to push that ball forward. But where I'm going with that too is the support system. Like the morning workouts, I was able to forge and build discipline, but we're actually working out now, 5 days a week. And it's so much easier when other guys show up and you're doing it with that tribe, if you will. Like even yesterday, you had some stuff come up where you had to deal with your kids. So I was in here by myself yesterday, and it was a grind to get through the workout. Got through it, but I was like, oh boy. And so I think finding that tribe's very important too for accountability. Like there is some kind of merit and value in suffering as a team. And I want to take just a quick minute and just kind of plug my business for anyone listening, of like, it's a culture that I'm trying to build, we had those 2 young guys that worked with me this summer, and they came in, my daughter was in here, and building that relationship, of suffering together. And then you can kind of go out and conquer whatever else throughout the day. And I'm using that word suffer pretty lightly. We're not doing crazy CrossFit workouts. It's nothing over the top, but we're pushing each other, and I think that for anyone listening, like moving forward, I'm looking to build that community. And I've been pretty quiet about it, and I'm going to start getting progressively louder about it. Like I wanted to do a year of proof of concept, to say, is this something that we can do? Can we show up? Does it even work? And I think it does. And is it perfect? And are we going to do it the same way for the next 20 years? I'm sure not. I hope not. I hope there's all these little twists and changes, but like I want to build a community and surround myself with men and women that I respect, that push me and that I can push back on. And that's one thing that I've felt has been lacking in my life and in this community that I'm starting to see change is that. And I wanted to start with a super small, strong nucleus of people. And I think we've built that. But now I'm excited to see it grow. And I don't know what that means growth wise. I'm just kind of putting this out there to the world. But if you're listening to this and it tickles your fancy, like hit me up, whatever that means, like, because I want to start to try to build a tribe based community of people that are looking to push the ball up the hill, if you will. But I just wanted to take that little right, to
move the needle.
Yeah.
And that might be the motivation for somebody, because like for me, it's hard. Like you said, on Wednesday or Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
The grind by yourself is hard to do. And I find that I've conned my kids into, when I work out at home, they work out with me.
Yeah.
You know, I have a little gym at my house that I built after starting to do it here. And it's like, I see the benefit of having some things at your, you know, availability to do. I have a small little mat in my gym with where my plunge is, and I have a pull up and dip bar, and I built my own kettlebells because I'm a cheap ass, you know. But like, I have different hydraulic excavator pins that I use for free weights, different steel plates. I have a buddy that works in the steel industry, and he brought me some just big, like 18-inch and a quarter steel plates, and, you know, use those for Russian twists and all kinds of stuff like that. Like, just having that availability, and my kids love it. They're doing wrestling right now, so they're all about like wanting to run sprints and push-ups and sit-ups and stuff like that. And, you know, and even yoga.
Yeah.
I never thought in my 36 I'd be like, yeah, but I do yoga, you know.
It's the real deal, man.
It is.
Yeah.
And
I know we were all hesitant when I brought it in a year ago, and I was like, guys, trust me for the month. And if we don't like it, we can scrap it. And I feel like everyone's taken, there's a place for it, especially as you get older. And it's the flexibility piece and whatever, but that mind body connection is huge for me too. You know, learning how to breathe and be silent, and, you know, like in that present moment. Yoga's helped me a ton on many different facets.
Yeah, I dig it. My mom did it for years, and then I started to do it. And I think it's funny, you know, when we're at Thanksgiving, my mom and I are talking about doing yoga. It's like, you know, it's just an interesting level that I never thought I'd be at personally.
Yeah.
So
another quick plug before we move in. I've been thinking about this. So I usually get to the gym anywhere between 4:30 to 5. And that's my little quiet time. I come in and read and just kind of get, you know, my brain ready for the day. But I drive down Main Street of Kettle, and there's Arena Fitness, which just moved actually just next to us. And right by TJ's, but they had their location the last year on Main Street. And, man, there's been some consistent people in there the last year. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out, because I get to see their vehicles and see them work out. But Lisa McKinney and her daughter, Keisha Kilgore, are in there almost every morning that I walk by. And I love seeing it. Like, they're getting after it. I see Jay and Adam Fowler in there frequently, which I think is awesome. If I get up super early, like 3:30 to 4, I see Jess Borders. For any of you guys that know Jess, I don't want to throw Jess under the bus, but he's in his mid to late 60s. And he's in there. My old buddy Tracy Vining that used to work at Boise, I see Tracy in there in the mornings. I see Shelly Adams in there pretty frequently. And so I wanted to plug those people real quick, because I get motivation from that too, right? And when I say I'm like looking to build or grow, it's not just in this gym, but just in the community of, like, I drive by and see those people and I'm inspired by them, and I'm like, it's cool to see them on my way to the gym and consistent with it. And yeah, I don't know. So shout out to all those guys, and I know I'm missing some, but that was just off the top of my dome. And then I know that there's a lot of the younger kids too. You know, Talon Fisher worked for me this last year, and they've got a little group of guys that are kind of like in that bodybuilding scene, if you will. Sam that goes to school with Talon's in there, and I see a lot of high school aged vehicles there, you know, and kids, and so I think that's awesome. So keep up that work, and it's cool too that we have, you know, I guess shout out to the Kellys for putting a gym in here, you know, and giving people the opportunity to work out in Kettle. Like that's huge. So yeah, there's I feel like we hit a lot of good stuff there. I wanted to transition a little bit into jiu-jitsu. So I've talked about it briefly on this podcast. I started training jiu-jitsu 2 years ago, and I did it consistently for about a 4 or 5 month time period. Really enjoyed it, was really intimidated to start. I learned that I don't know how to fight, that I'm not tough, that I'm out of shape. And I just ate a tremendous amount of humble pie. And life got in the way. I'm not going to sit here and make a bunch of excuses, but I fell off the gym for, after 4 or 5 months, or the jiu-jitsu gym. And then we started kind of just rolling around in here in the mornings. And then it kind of inspired me to get back into it. So I did another 3 or 4 month stint this summer, and I've been out for the last month. But you joined me on that, and our buddy JP was a definitely motivating factor in that. I'm going to give just a quick shout out to Matt and Kayla Shields. And so they own Pine BJJ, which is on Main Street of Colville. And their husband, wife, instructor team that own and operate the gym, and they're just incredible individuals, and they provide such a great service for this community. For anyone that doesn't know what jiu-jitsu is, the basic definition is it's submission grappling. And I don't want anyone to think that you just walk in this gym and start punching each other, because that's not what it is. It really is a martial art, and there's a system to it, and you can be any shape or size and get into jiu-jitsu. Matt and Kayla do a very good job of walking you into that. You're not just going to come in and, you're going to be sore and you're going to get a workout, but you're not going to come get beat up by a UFC fighter. And I think that I kind of had that reservation for a while of like, I'm not a fighter. I have no sense in being in a gym where you can submit other people. Once you get in it and do a couple of weeks, you realize that like, oh, this can be a lifelong endeavor. And the appealing part is you will never be a complete master at it. There will always be someone that can tap you out. And I think that we could probably spend 3 hours using jiu-jitsu metaphors between life and jiu-jitsu. Because life will consistently tap you out. And I don't care how big, tough, and strong you are, you will get consistently tapped out on the mats. And so for me with jiu-jitsu, there was all these parallels of life and jiu-jitsu, of once you get tapped out, you eat that humble pie, you get back, and then you start rolling again, and I don't know. It's cool that we have that in this area, but I just wanted, you've been 4 months, 5 months. Yeah. So you mind just touching on your brief jiu-jitsu journey to this point?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. Like you said, we rolled around a little bit here, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty fun. I don't know what I'm doing. Never did wrestling in school or anything like that. And so between you and JP, you guys finally conned me into trying it out for, I think I did 2 days back to back, and didn't know what to expect. But life's full of things that you can't plan for, right? I remember walking in that gym on Main Street for the first time, and people I don't know, nobody was there that I knew. I think you and JP showed up just a little bit after I did, but I walked in there, and I like to be places that I know people or things, and trying new things is hard for me because I want that familiarity with something of it, So then I got nervous. I'm like texting you guys. I'm like, you guys showing up or what, And but I remember walking in there, and those guys were just, hey, how's it going? I'm Matt, I'm Kayla, just getting you the feel for it. And I remember turning around, and on the door, I'm assuming Kayla wrote it, but it says, walk in strong and crawl out stronger.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at that going, well, that's kind of a cute little joke thing, but it's not a joke.
Yeah.
Because the first 2 days I went there, that set, so it was a Thursday and a Friday. And on Saturday, I felt like I got hit by a literal bus. Just flat wrecked. And, but it was, I felt just almost like a primal sense to it. I enjoyed it. And so then, like an idiot, I signed up for it. And try to do at least 2 days a week. Sometimes life gets in the way, and, you don't make both days. Sometimes you don't make one day. But it's one of those things I look forward to it so much. And like now I have a regiment. So like my Thursdays and Fridays, I plan my day for jiu-jitsu. Like I'll eat a good breakfast, but I won't eat the rest of the day until after I roll, because I've realized how it changes my habits for that day, changed the outcome of the day. And roll with JP and his brother Carl. Carl's a big dude, like 19-year-old kid. Probably when he started, he was 3 bills. I think he's been just dumping weight. I mean, kid's a rock star, super cool dude. Met a lot of really awesome people.
In all walks of life.
Yeah.
Everybody. But great people in there, because that door acts as a filter. If you're only comfortable being in the comfort zone, you'll never walk through that door.
Yeah.
And it's intimidating, but honestly, it's the hardest part, is just walking in. And then once you're in, you're like I said, it's welcoming in all different walks of life, but like people that do that endeavor in that martial art are solid people, in my opinion. That's been my experience anyways. Like, very good people. And there's that accountability piece, of doing it with other people. I mean, it's so fun. I'm so lucky that I didn't get beat up so much in my 20s in the bar scene, and I was never a bar fighter, but sometimes I'd run my mouth too much. And I've completely underestimated how strong a 150-pound dude can be.
Oh yeah.
Like, there's some guys in there that I have 80 pounds on that just use me as a mop, and they're so strong. And then also it's a skill set for sure. But like, I've just learned, don't judge a book by its cover, or you will end up in a pretzel.
100%. 100%.
But yeah, no, that's cool. It's Matt and Caleb have grown the gym, and I know that they're continuing to try to grow it. I've talked to Matt. I want to get him on this podcast really bad, just so he can really do an in-depth dive of what jiu-jitsu is and what they're doing in there. But I think it's awesome that you've stuck with it and that you're doing it, man. That's way cool. So I think that too, when I was thinking about doing this and having this conversation with you, I think there's value. I think we kind of touched on, obviously, like physical health, and that's been a lot of, I guess if you were to take a snapshot of both of our last year, like there's a lot of time and effort and resource in the last year that went into physical health.
Oh yeah.
And I just want to touch on it briefly too, because I'm not looking to get deep on this one into the weeds, but from a mental health standpoint too, like we've both faced adversity, and I can say that you've had a tough year too, just like that life has thrown at you. And I think, like, I respect it so much in you. Like, you're one of the guys that I really respect on this, of like, you could have gone 2 different routes. You could have gone down a poor me, this is horrible, and angry, like just pissed off at the world. And that would have been easy and justified to do. But I've seen you take this, what I'm going to say is a higher road of, I'm going to show up and put myself first, put my family first, and just grind every day and control what you can control. And what life throws at you, you can't always control. But I think there's so much value, and I'm so just like, I guess, stoked to be your friend, to see that that's possible. When life throws some shitty things your way, you can choose how you mount up, and like, I think that there's so much good that comes from doing that little thing every day. That's that discipline. It's that consistency. It's being around good people. But what side of your brain are you feeding? Because I think we all have 2 sides. We kind of have this good side and this dark side, and I feel this way, that it's like at constant chaos with each other. What I'm starting to learn is the one that you feed is the one that grows. And so you have to be cognizant where you're putting your food, what side of your shoulder, but I guess I just wanted to say real quick with you, I've observed that you're feeding the strong side of your body, man, the good side and not the dark side. And I think that's huge. And I hope for anyone listening to this, like, it's possible. And there's guys in this community doing it, like, and it's easier to feed the other side, but I think it's more worthwhile, to take that higher road. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that experience?
Well, I'm really blessed in the fact that I had somebody that gave me the opportunity to do it, because just like everybody, I'll start tomorrow. Like, we all have that in us. I still do it today on certain things. Like, I don't want to do that today. I'll do it tomorrow. But I have to tell myself, I'm not going to do it tomorrow either.
Yeah.
Because it's the tree analogy, you know? It's, if I wait till tomorrow, then I'll wait till tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll keep waiting till tomorrow. And
years go by then.
Oh yeah.
It's
we have so much influence to do it. It's way easier to get on the Instagram or the Facebook and look at people working out saying, yeah, I should do that. I'll start on it tomorrow. And I feel like that's what a lot of, I was that way 100% for years. Like, I'll start giving a shit tomorrow. Yeah. I'll start eating better tomorrow. I'll only eat this bad thing today, you know, and then tomorrow I'll have a salad or I'll have a steak or what have you. And so it's if you can have somebody that motivates you to do it, like you said, accountability.
Yeah.
When I don't show up here, I feel like I let you guys down. And so it's just having yourself, setting it to be bigger than yourself, I think is the big push on that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good, man. I appreciate that. All right. So, shifting direction a little bit, just kind of for some fun year roundup stuff. We'll get in. I wrote some things down that we'll get into. Real quick, a couple more shout outs of guys that have helped me this last year and that I respect just on the health side that I forgot to mention earlier. But Cody Hart is a good friend of mine and also motivates me to stay in shape. And he's actually been in with us, you know, a half a dozen times this summer. And when he's not in here, I know he's getting after it. And Cody was never a guy that I would have thought was care about working out in the mornings or doing anything. But I get a lot of motivation out of Cody.
As long as he keeps sending us some more videos.
Oh my God.
Our Goggins videos.
Dude, if you guys, we're going to have to figure out how to get one of those live sometime. Cody Hart does the best David Goggins impression of anyone I know. Yeah. And it makes my day. It is so funny. AJ Howard was in with us all summer. And so I forgot to give him a shout out. AJ's the head wrestling coach, first year wrestling coach at Kettle Falls High. I think we're very lucky and fortunate to have him coaching our youth. And that dude gets after it. Yeah. He was great to have in the gym this summer and appreciate his efforts. My buddy Jacoby Burdine, dude, I don't know how much he's down, but 30 or 40 pounds, I think easily. He looks the best I've seen him. Yeah. And I know he's a logger. You know, he's leaving his house at 2:33 in the morning. And he'll get up before or get it in when he gets home. But him and his wife, Liz, they got a little set up at their house and they're getting after it. And I think that's so awesome. And then a big accountability guy for me the last couple of years has been my friend Travis Mitchell. And Travis has done, I think we even maybe Hart and I talked about it, I think, but there's this 75 hard challenge. Mm-hmm. And like Trav's the OG 75 hard guy in this area.
365 hard.
Yeah. And his wife Taylor too, you know, they're getting after it, which is huge. And so that's awesome. And then too, I guess for me, if I'm giving everyone shout outs, like Shada has been huge for me. Shada works out every morning and she worked out for the first, 7 years we were together. And I literally would just walk right by her working out in the living room and be like, this is not for me. And so she's been a huge motivating factor and our girls work out in the mornings now. And I know it's because she leads that. And like, so yeah, I didn't want to forget those people for me in the last year have been huge staples, of, like I said, just that accountability thing. When you see other people doing it, you want to get better too, and so shout out to all those people. So I thought this might be fun. It might not be, might be a complete shit show, but grab your phone, go to the bottom of your photos, and then close your eyes and do 3 or 4 swipes and then see where it lands. And hopefully if it's a crappy photo, then get to a good one, but like a good fun memory in the last year that's worth talking about out of your photo album.
Most of my stuff's just work pictures anymore.
Yeah. Any good work projects?
Yeah, too many projects to count. One of the quickest ones was a picture from the Buckhorn mine up on top. We had to go up there and work on a truck. Kelly Ott and I, one of my lead mechanic, he's like Jesus down there,
The guy's a wizard.
Yeah, he truly is.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had to go up to the buckhorn mine and fix a truck that we'd had in our shop that had needed rework done on it. But what a beautiful area. I'd never been up in that. I don't know if that's Okanagan County on the top side of that. You go up to Rhoda Creek, and then it seems like it's way up there.
Yeah.
And you go past tugboats there in Curlew, and then you just keep driving. And then you're almost to the Canadian border, and you take a left. And then you go up a mountain 8 miles. But that was a cool area. I'd never been up in there.
I've only been there. Trav might have been with me, and maybe Osteller, for sure McKern, and we went to the Buckboard Saloon once in our early 20s.
Okay.
And I don't think it's open anymore. But it had like legit Gumby style doors, like the swinging.
Really?
Yeah, and this really cool like bar top mantle and whatever. But we were in our 20s and wanting to explore all the taverns in the Tri-County area. But yeah, that is a beautiful area. Is that mine going?
So they're on like a reclaim. So everything's been closed off, and they're just they do the, gosh dang it, what's it called? The reverse osmosis filtration. So they pump water in and out, and then they filter and test it for high metals and stuff like that. And I don't know if they're going to open the Buckhorn side back up. I've heard, or I know that the mine in Republic, it's a Kinross mine, and I could be wrong, but they're reopening that. So they're doing all their testing, their core drilling, I think now, and getting the mill set back up to run, because they did find some more veins that were worth them digging for, which is great for that community. That mine ran for years and then shut down, and then a lot of people moved out, and then the infrastructure changed. And I was talking to one of the gals that does the USA Wrestling, who lives in Republic, that now that the mine's open back up and people are moving back into Republic area, that now the infrastructure can't support the amount of people.
Gotcha.
So like their school system, a lot of kids in big classes with one teacher, maybe one aide, but they're having a rough go of that, trying to get things big enough to get big, right?
Yeah. Huh. That's interesting. All right, I'm going to play along too.
Yeah,
see what happens. I don't know. Now I'm nervous. I made you do it. Now I'm like, oh boy. Wow. So this is a work picture, but it's actually a picture of my daughter Kendall in my shop with a welding helmet on and a steel rose that she'd actually made for her mom. And the other pictures around that are Kendall in a 270 excavator and standing on a tugboat. Yeah, that was one of the highlights for me this last year. And you got to be around her a little bit. But my oldest came and worked for us this year in many different capacities, cleaning, painting, did some welding, operated some equipment, learned to do a chainsaw, deckhand. And she's leaving the house. I told her, I said, I'm not going to wake you up, and I won't pack your lunch. You got to be at the gym by 5:45. She made it every single day and worked with the guys. I can't imagine what day one was like, 16-year-old gal showing up with a bunch of guys, doing the work that we do with not very much prior experience. And, man, you just talk about proud moment for me. Like, she had such an awesome summer. I was so thankful to have her on. Big shout out. I felt that Steve really kind of took her under his wing and showed her stuff. Ricky was a big part of that. Ricky was awesome in showing her how to run tractor and do different things. But yeah, I'm glad I scrolled to that one, because that was definitely, if I reflect back on my last year, being able to work alongside my daughter was huge for many different reasons. One of which, my brother and I started working and collecting a paycheck at this company when we were 16, which is weird to say out loud. That was 20 years ago this year for me.
Yeah.
And so Kendall would then be fourth generation, cutting her teeth as a teenager on the same boat that my grandfather built or bought, in the late 60s. And so I'm stoked that I scrolled to that picture, because that is something, and I probably don't tell Kendall that enough, but I was so proud of how she showed up this summer, and to have her along and to continue that family legacy that my grandfather built, that my dad built and improved, and now that I'm hoping to take forward with the support of my family. And so, yeah, that was cool. That was a good one to land on.
Heck yeah.
Glad it wasn't a picture of my ass or something.
Yeah. I know. I was worried that mine was going to be like tore up toes from jiu-jitsu or something like that.
No doubt. Hey, a couple questions. And as far as 2025, looking back, do you have a fondest memory?
I have a lot of fond memories, and they all revolve around my wife and my kids.
Yeah.
Like, we did a lot of stuff this year, and that was one of my huge goals was, so people that don't know either, like, I also farm on the side.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad and mom have a pretty successful cow operation. We've tailored it down in the years because we're all just so busy. But so I farm through the summer, and winter, fall. I don't think it ever stops. But I really put a high emphasis this year on spending a lot of time with family and kid and my wife and kids, you know, and doing things with them. And so we had a lot of fun this year.
Yeah.
You know, we did, I think we did a camping trip. We did, I can't even go through it, you know, it's all up top, but
for sure.
But, I just had a lot of fun this year.
Yeah.
This year was a blast and a blur, really.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised it's already the end of it.
I can't believe it was a year ago that we first sat down and spit into these microphones. Cool. What about, is there a biggest takeaway, something that you're going to leave 2025 with?
Just show up.
Yeah.
Show up and do it. The first day is the hardest, but the next day is the easiest.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day progressively after that, they all get easier, no matter what you're doing, whether it's eating right, work, just, you know, doing something uncomfortable. The next day is always easier.
Yeah.
That's my biggest takeaway.
That's great. Anything in particular that you're most proud of in 2025?
I ran a mile.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, dog.
Never, you know, when we started doing that, we started out just hiking Gold Hill every Friday. And I was like, you know, this is okay. It sucks.
Well, and your first hike up Gold Hill wasn't beautiful.
No.
I mean, winded and stopped.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, within 2 or 3 weeks, you're hoofing up that thing, no issue. But I remember in the first one, I'm pretty sure you did in your steel toe work boots.
Yep. I think so. You know, because it's like, I think I was wearing those stinking slip-on shoes, and I'm like, well, I need some traction on this hill. This thing's steeper than sin.
Yeah.
And I never kind of assumed that I'd be as big a boy as I am, you know, doing a mile. And last week we did a mile every day.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, no stop and just run it out. And
yeah. The running thing, I made up in my right after high school, I would never run again. Mm-hmm. You and I've talked about this, but we're not built to run. It was a mindset. I have no reason to run in my life. Mm-hmm. And, I think Steve definitely led that for us. But the first week or two was pretty crappy. But then you kind of get into it a little bit, you know, where you build your lung capacity up and learn some form and breathing and whatnot. But, I remember, I think the first time we'd got done and Steve was just like, I'm going to go for a run real quick. And he went to the shop and back and he's like, yeah, I just did a mile. And I was like, Jesus Christ, that's, you know, what an animal. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of messed with me a little bit. And I'm like, I probably should have gone on that, you know, but then I was like, well, I can't run a mile, you know, and then I think he did it again the following week. And I was like, all right, I'm going, you know, and it's funny how that can work too, right? Because then one guy goes, then the other, and then pretty soon it's like, okay, well, let's incorporate some running into this. And, you know, at one point we're running from here to Myers Falls Dam up the hill and back, mm-hmm. you know, and I would have never thought that I would be doing that in my mid-30s, you know. The biggest run we did, right, we went down, hit the train tracks, mm-hmm. cruised by the way stations, jumped Highway 25, and then ran parallel to that, crossed at the old Walker shop, and then Old Kettle Road back to Juniper. And that was a push.
Yeah.
But
I'll tell you what, if I could have caught Steve, I would have killed him.
But yeah, man, the running thing I've come to enjoy a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's been nice. I think it's cool to be able to use your body in ways that you didn't think that you could.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe that's what I enjoy about it, because I still have this mental barrier that I don't like running, but my body's kind of telling me that it's all right.
And I won't admit it, but I enjoy it.
Same.
You know?
Yeah, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that out loud. But
yeah, I had a good giggle. It was a couple weeks ago. I was on my phone and I was looking up running shoes, and I remember just stopping. And I think I was sitting at the house, and I just like kind of sat up and go, "What am I doing? I'm looking up running shoes. Like now I want specific shoes for running because I enjoy it. Like this is a huge change in my life, you know." But
yeah, that's good. Okay, last question. What's in store for 2026? You thought about that much?
Yeah, more growth. I have an inkling that I told myself I was going to set a goal to do the Grouch Marathon.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to. So that's one of the like dumb things I've thought of, but I'd like to try to.
Yeah, run that 5K first weekend of June.
Yeah,
I'd
like to try it.
Cool.
Like I said, I'm not a runner. I'd like to at least give it a shot.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah,
100%.
I know I can.
Yeah,
and I'm
intend to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Cool. Well, that was kind of what, like I said, I just thought it'd be fun to get in and just touch on some stuff from the last year or whatever. But yeah, man, appreciate you being on the podcast. Really appreciate you coming in and the accountability and doing the work. It's been fun. And
I have, like I said, when I don't show up, I can just tell through my day. It sets the pace for the day. When you get up and do things that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
But you want to do it, but you find so many excuses to not. But when you get up and do it, like just start your day with accomplishing something.
For sure.
And it sets your whole day.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. Cool. Well, let's wrap that up, and then let's do it again December 2026.
Hell yeah.
See what next year has in store for us.
I'll have cooler pictures next year.
All right. Deal. Cool. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.